At the age of 40, I thought I was doing everything right, and I scheduled my first mammogram. Everything turned out completely fine, and I was, excited about that since my mom did have breast cancer when she was early. And then about 2 months before I turned 41, I felt a lump in my right breast, and I really wasn't too concerned about it. So I decided to wait until 2 months later until my appointment was scheduled, and I went in for just my checkup, and my doctor did a physical exam, and I could tell by her face that she felt something. I had also explained it to her that I felt something, but she also felt something. And on that same day she scheduled my mammogram. So I went in and had that done. They told me to go in the waiting room, and they also scheduled an ultrasound and a biopsy on that same day. So I kind of knew that something was going wrong, and then the doctor came in and told me that I did have cancer. 2 weeks later, I scheduled an appointment with my oncologist, and that's when I found out that not only did I have breast cancer, but I had stage 4 breast cancer, and at this time there's no cure for that. My thoughts when I first got diagnosed, especially with stage 4 breast cancer, was I was devastated. I know you're not supposed to, but I went home and I did Google it, and I recommend that people don't Google it because it was devastating. I think I just sat in my room with my mom and my dad, and I just cried. I just cried and cried because I thought, that this was it. My life was over. It wasn't until I had my next appointment that I met with my oncologist, and I asked her point blank. I asked her, if I was gonna die. And luckily I had a great oncology team around me because they said, no, we are gonna treat this as a chronic disease. And that day we started my chemotherapy treatment. At the age of 50, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. Luckily she caught it in time. It was stage 1, and that was 30 years ago. I also have an aunt that has breast cancer, and I myself have done the genetic testing along with my sister, and at this time for the genes that they're tracking, we don't show up. But the doctor was letting me know that just because I'm not on the markers for having the genetics, that there are tests out there that they're still developing. I've had 48 treatments of chemotherapy. I had a unilateral mastectomy, also reconstruction on my right breast. I've had a reduction on my left breast just to try to get it symmetrical. I've had 34 treatments of radiation, and also because of all of my treatments and taking out of my lymph nodes, I have developed lymphedema. So I do have to wear a compression sleeve every day. Just having a strong balance of friends, a great social network, my family, church members, that's the way that I have been able to cope. After I have chemotherapy, I have to have some downtime because I just don't, my energy levels are so low, and that's where my friends and family, they kind of kick in. They bring over meals, they help keep me positive. I really can't go out because I just don't have the energy, so they come and visit with me, and that has really helped during all of my treatments. At this time, I'm not able to return to work. I did have to leave my job just because of all of my treatments. When I first got diagnosed, my chemotherapy treatments lasted 5 hours each session, and that was every 3 weeks. So I would be down for like a week and a half. I only had maybe a couple of days, probably like 2 or 3 that were my good days. And with all the treatment, the radiation, I've had to work through some physical therapies. Also, I do a lot of puzzles and games just to keep my mind clear and sharpened. When I first was diagnosed, and I was going through all of my treatments, I started to feel my energy level was really low. And I asked my oncologist if there was anything that I could do to try and help that, and she told me, she set me up with a nutritionist, and also told me that maybe I could try a little bit of exercise. So I started to change my diet, and I also joined a gym. So that has really helped me. I started off really slow, just walking the track by myself, and then one day I was passing a Zumba class and I decided to go in, and I love it. So when I do have my good days, I always make sure that I go to my Zumba class, and that has been keeping my energy levels high. When I was first diagnosed and I was trying to look for information, it was everywhere and it was scattered all over the place, and also it really wasn't directed at my age group. With Survive Miss, everything is in one spot, and it's also geared toward young survivors. Everything is on the website, from career choices to nutrition to how to care for your children. I believe that it is a great asset for anyone that is newly diagnosed with breast cancer. I wish for people that are newly diagnosed that the first thing they do is get a support group going. If they can't find one local where they can go to, if they go on Survive Miss, they'll be able to log online and find your support group right there in front of you. You don't even have to leave your home. So that's really good for especially days when you don't feel like you have the energy to get outside. You can just log on and find all the information that you need. I am Freda Johnson, and I am a breast cancer survivor.